Hey folks, Deano here again. This time with another bootleg Gunpla. This is basically the type of kit I didn't think was possible to be bootlegged. Yeah, this is a real grade. The real grade God Gundam from Mobile Suit G Gundam, which I will be completely honest with you straight off the bat. I do not know a whole lot about this anime. It came out, well, quite a long time ago at this point. I think it predates Gundam Wing, which is astounding to me, to be completely honest. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the anime. I really have to go back and watch it, to be completely honest with you. But I do know his signature move, the burning finger, and then I think it's the overdrive mode or something like that. Yeah, feel free to roast me in the comments, because I don't know everything. But yeah, a subscriber, when I first started doing these model kits, a subscriber asked me to review the God Gundam. When I looked at the God Gundam, real grade, it was quite expensive. So I looked for the next best thing, and wouldn't you know it, there is somehow a bootleg of a real grade out there. And while it builds up the exact same way as a real grade, I'm telling you right now, this was one of the most infuriating, frustrating, stressful builds in my short Gunpla building career I think I've ever witnessed. I'm not long after finishing it, and I swear to you, my thumbs are numb. The tolerances on this figure are atrociously bad. Like, it kinda should be expected. Like, real grade kits are incredibly intricate and incredibly time consuming to build because of all the small parts. So a bootleg company basically remolding the sprues for it, it was never going to end too well. But yeah, let's get them off the turntable and take a look at the box. So yeah, this is quite the size of box. You thought the official real grade boxes were big? You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, this is obviously, I'm assuming, I haven't looked into it. I apologise, I kind of rushed into reviewing this, but I'm guessing this is the 37th real grade, which would justify the name, because otherwise it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The R37, real grade 37, 144th Scala model, or Model L. Yeah. And they actually have the gall to say the actual product may vary slightly from this image. Yeah, I would hope my Gundam didn't come out 2D in brown. Like, come on. Was there really a need for that? On the side, they've actually misspelled it every single time. That's kind of bonkers. But there you've got them using the burning finger sort of gimmick that he does. Usual legally, which is always plastered on these kits somewhere, or any bootleg, or basically anything you get off of AliExpress these days. Another picture there, and on the back it's just standard cardboard. So yeah, pretty basic box. I am kind of glad it came in the box. It was like £1 cheaper to get it without the box, but I mean, you're dealing with a model kit. I don't trust some of the AliExpress sellers to send these out in any sort of protection. Like, I mean, just look at the state of the box. Some of the parts, I'm lucky they were off the sprue in the box, but they weren't broken. Not that parts of this kit aren't broken, but we will get to that. But yeah, box is standard. Let's take a look at his accessories. So in terms of accessories, he comes with a decent amount. He actually comes with quite a lot of hands, surprisingly. I will apologise in advance. Like, by the time I got to cutting the hands out, I was so fed up building this kit that like some of the flashing and excess sprue or nub marks haven't been cleaned up because my hands basically hurt so badly. So you get a pair of sort of relaxed hands. These are in grey. You get a pair of fists, which are your standard affair. I will say, like, apart from the tolerances on this figure and the fact that like the plastic is kind of soft in the detail department, because obviously they're remolding an existing mold, you're never going to get all the details out in one go, but for the most part, like, it is molded well, even though it's like cheaper plastic. But yeah, you also get real grade hands, which in this case are a fancy sort of karate chop martial arts posy hand, which, for those of you who don't know, the God Gundam was quite melee focused, and the entire show, like the premise, I believe they kind of used like energy and stuff that try to mimic Dragon Ball in a way. Obviously it's not mimicking Dragon Ball, but it's the same sort of concept. Then you get some really fancy sort of metallic gold plastic hands. These are sort of splayed open, which is really nice. These are obviously for his signature attack, and this is his signature burning finger. Yeah, it's a kind of strange pose, but I mean, it gets the job done. He also comes with one of the coolest parts. He comes with a pair of beam katanas, not your standard beam saber. These are very nice. Do like it. Unfortunately, obviously, because the tolerances are a bit off, they don't tend to fit that well. Like, when you pop it in, yeah, it's got a tendency to lean off to one side, so you have to sort of very gingerly fix it. Yeah, it does look nice. I do like it. There's the second one. I think this is the worst of the two. If I try and pop that in, yeah, that's very warped, that one. So yeah, he also has his like overdrive mode. I apologise again if I am butchering what that's called. Please correct me in the comments. But yeah, really nice. It slots onto the back of his, I want to say wings, but it's the core fighter, I believe, or the core lander. It basically becomes its own little ship that docks into the back of the Gundam. It's quite cool. Do like it. So yeah, that fits in there really nicely, really snugly. And you will notice there is a peg hole on there. So if you're displaying it like this, you're going to want him in the air, because otherwise he ain't standing up. This makes him a bit top heavy. So yeah, it's good that they did think of that. And the last thing he comes with is a sort of strange, kind of cheap stand, but it's different. It comes with two arms, one sort of angled and one straight up. I am not sure what the second arm is for, possibly the core lander. But yeah, standard sort of goes between his legs sort of thing and holds him up a little bit, which, I mean, I'm happy we have it, but I wish it was a full stand. I mean, the figurized kits, figurized standard kits, the spoiler if this review goes up before the Vegeta, but those come with full-on, basically Tamashii stages now, which is bonkers. But yeah, that does it for accessories. Let's take a look at the most infuriating part of this figure, which is the figure itself. So yeah, this is the God Gundam in all of its glory. Like I said before, it's an amazing kit to look at. From a bit of a distance, you will not notice the difference between this and official real grades. But once you actually get up close and personal, you start to notice the sort of imperfections in the plastic that they used and the sort of softness of the details. Like, for example, if you look at the legs, you can tell that they're not as sharp. There is a sort of softness to the edges and to all the panel lines, which made it quite difficult to paneline this guy. In fact, I got so frustrated with it, I didn't even bother doing the back, the wings. So yeah, a bit of a shame, but what are you going to do? But yeah, other than that, it looks really nice. I do really like all the details, and surprisingly enough, it came with a set of real grade style stickers, which I'm assuming are copied from the official one. They don't stay put quite as well as the official, but they do the job like perfectly fine, to the point that I was quite happy putting them all on. But yeah, time will tell if those stickers stay on for any length of time. But yeah, as it stands now, I'm quite happy with how the stickers turned out. They've even got the sort of metallic stickers. You can see them on the knees. There's a sort of gold stickers, and on the shoulders there's a silver one. But yeah, on to the main point of trouble that I had was you can pop the core lander out, obviously. That becomes its own thing. Let's see, because I know that you noticed too that the wings were not perfectly aligned. Now they are a bit further back. That is very annoying. You have to be incredibly careful with the wings specifically. I can already see like a stress mark on this wing right here. You see it? Right at that corner. I have barely touched this since I got it. And spoiler alert, the two wings are actually glued onto the main body because, yes, the tolerances were so tight on the cylindrical pegs that they actually snapped off completely. Yeah, the back of this is a complete mess. Honestly, I get so frustrated when that happened. There is absolutely no need for it. But I suppose that's purely down to the fact that it's a remold. Like, honestly. So you can pop this back around. Obviously you can't do it while the thrusters are up. But yeah, that's the core lander itself. That can like fly about on its own. And there is indeed a peg hole for you to have it flying, maybe flying into the back of the Gundam. So yeah, it looks the part. It really does look the part. But unfortunately, the tolerances on this entire figure are just way too tight. So yeah, you can, as long as you're ginger with it, like, you can move the two top pieces of the wing, But this bottom one is so tight and so fragile, I just wouldn't bother touching it. Unless you're being very, 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 very careful with it. It's also kind of infuriating because that top one does not want to move with the rest of them, and it's popping out as I'm trying to do anything with it. But yeah, it literally just slots into the back of the Gundam like so. It's a tight enough fit, but if you don't really care about the lander, I would quite honestly suggest just gluing it in place, because it could be hanging there one day and just pop out, fall into the floor, completely break. So yeah, I'll do the rest of the review without it. But yeah, going back to the tolerance issue, the feet in particular are really bad. Like, I don't have as much of a feeling that they're going to break, but at the same time, the articulation on the feet is just non-existent. It does not work side to side. That peg, that grey piece there, that's a peg that goes into the back. That's what's supposed to give you the swivel. It's so tight, it's not even worth trying. You can do the downward toe, so you can get him into a believable flying pose. But yeah, other than that, there's literally nothing I can do with the feet. There honestly isn't. It does move side to side, but that grey piece, that's just not on. Another issue I had, yeah, there are more. The inner piece of the shoulder, on this figure, like, any of you who know anything about real grades at this point, some of them have parts called advanced MS joints. Basically what that is pre-molded movable joints, for the most part, that are already on the sprue. Thankfully, they have started moving away from that now. In fact, I think the real grade RX-782 2.0, I don't think that's got any MS joints in it whatsoever, which is a good thing. But yeah, the lower arms on this guy and the shoulders, they basically tried to copy the real grade joints. And because of that, yeah, they didn't come out the best. They were full of flashing. They're pretty horrible. Like, I am lucky, to be honest, that they move at all. But yeah, this one was completely mismolded, which is why it's off to the side there. Luckily, it didn't really affect the movement in posing any. I can fully hide the fact that that is misjointed in there. But yeah, kind of a letdown, to be completely honest with you. Last gimmick that he has, which is a bit hard to do on the bootleg, is you pop that bit up there, and then you fold that up there, and that reveals his, oh, what's that called? It's got something to do with the rainbow swirls. Basically his full power module, which again, I apologise for not knowing more in advance. I just wanted this guy off my desk and onto my shelf as quickly as possible. But yeah, other than that, the details look decent, especially the head. I am very happy that the head turned out as well as it did. All four of the sort of spikes are completely fine, no issues there. The only place I had a bit of problem with the panel lining is this red piece right here. I panel lined to the side of it, and for some reason that completely cracked the plastic on one side, which is a bit concerning. So yeah, if you're going to panel line the bootlegs, I would definitely say be very careful and rub off any excess paint or pen as soon as possible. You don't want to compromise the integrity of the plastic. Apparently, like those pore markers, if you put enough on a standard Gundam, it can crack the plastic, so be careful with it anyway, but especially with bootlegs, because the plastic quality is not as good. That's just a fact. But yeah, going on to articulation. It is pretty decent. It's not quite as good as the real one, I don't think, but it does get up there. The whole point of the God Gundam was that it was a really posable figure, the original, and a lot of people still say it is the most articulated real grade. Like, I think it might have been beaten out now by the 2.0, but we will have to wait and see. So you can look up that far. Pops off because tolerances aren't great. You can look down really far. It's on a ball joint, so you get side to side, pivot, swivel, all that good stuff. I'm going to stop touching that now because it keeps popping off. You can pop those up to show sort of Gatling cannons. But again, those don't fit in terribly well, so you're always going to be left with a gap there. These top pieces of his shoulder can move up as well. That shows a bit of gold on there, which is quite cool. I believe that's part of the move where he uses this central piece and the circles come out. So yeah, arms can go out that far. Shoulder pad obviously getting in the way a little bit. Swivel there is quite good. Butterfly joint, really nice. It gets really good range there. You can see that working like so. Bicep swivel up the top, which works fairly well. Bottom half here does have a swivel, but it's obviously using the fake advanced MS joint, so I wouldn't put much stock in it holding up over time. You do get double joint at the wrist, but the tolerances are so tight, that's about as far as you can get. Be very careful. Honestly, I cannot stress enough how careful you would have to be with this kit if you get it. But yeah, you also get ball hinge at the wrist, and these pieces right here, these are on ball joints, these top pieces and these bottom pieces. I had to glue the joint part of that blue piece in on all of them, just so that it wouldn't pop out. But yeah, that is on a joint as well, but it's so tight and so delicate, I don't really want to touch it. Again, there we go. Oh, that just popped that off. So you get a ball joint at the ab section, which can get about that much range forward, not much back. I love how the reviews I seen of this guy leading into it, they couldn't get that bit open, and all I keep doing is accidentally opening it. Quite annoying. Ball joint at the bottom. Hip skirts can all move out the way completely fine. This piece is quite a strange one. It's on a hinge and ball joint that's connected to the back skirt, so that actually gets out the way really well. Back skirts can also move completely fine. Quite a cool little storage gimmick as well. If you take one of the katanas, pop that off, you can actually, I can figure out how to do this. Do you just slot it in from the back? Yes. Yeah, you can actually store the katanas on his hip like a proper samurai. So So yeah, quite cool. I do enjoy that. Legs can go up that far. They can go back that far. The only thing impeding that is the back skirt. If we move the side skirt, that's popped out. These Gundam kits just in general do like to pop apart, so being a bootleg, that's even more likely. He gets complete Van Damme splits. In fact, I could probably push it even further if I wanted to, but I don't. I do not want to break it. There we go. Double joint at the knee, but the top joint really isn't doing a whole lot, so you can get that much there. And the feet, which on my copy I can get a swivel and a push down, and that is your whack. I can't get any swivels or hinges or anything going on the feet, which is a bit of a shame, but then I never planned on having him in any sort of dynamic pose anyway. He's just going to be hovering in midair looking badass. So yeah, overall guys, like at the end of the day, this kit was a tenner. Like, it's really not expensive by any means. It's a couple of quid more expensive than the standard high grade bootlegs that you get. I mean, this guy was only a $5 more than that stupid Death Scythe bootleg that I bought. So yeah, it's still really good value for money, but just be prepared. You're not going to have the most fun time building this guy. There are going to be some parts where you want to throw the entire thing in the bin. But yeah, overall it's still a great kit, and it's a lot cheaper than the official release, so make of that what you will. I hope this curveball for that viewer was enough to satisfy them. But yeah guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Will you be getting this kit? Bear in mind there is a link down in the description. I always forget to say that. There's a link down in the description if you want to buy it. That's totally up to yourself. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you all later.